Hello everyone, I'm Meenakshi and I welcome you all to Tathastu, and our today's topic is G20 and India. So we all know that G20 summit is going to take place in India on 9th and 10th of September, and if we talk about G20, then G20 is a group of 20 powerful economies of the world. So the 20 head of the state of those powerful economies will be coming to India to take part in this summit. So of course it is very important. It is an international forum of the 20 powerful developing economies, and after 2010, in 2010 India hosted these Commonwealth Games. So after 2010, this is that international level event, that utmost level international event which India will be hosting. So definitely it is important for our exam as well. So in this video we will be discussing about G20 and various perspective and what is the human centric approach that is being approached by India. And before that, these are the courses which are offered by Tathastu-ICS for all of you. There is MSLV specifically for your mains examination, then there is NCERT module for which you can register, then there is this PSLV which will target your prelims examination that will be launching very soon. And then lastly we have this philosophy optional by Tanu ma'am. So if your optional is philosophy, you can get yourself enrolled, and also you can inquire on these number, and this is the address. You can also visit the office. So let's start with our lecture, which is about G20. So the theme for this year, as I said, I have given you brief introduction that what is G20. It is group of 20 powerful economies of the world, and initially it was there was this financial crisis during this period 1997-1998 of the Asian tigers, which led to the formation of this summit, this G20 summit, G20 group, and it was established in 1999, and initially only the central bank governors were part of this summit. But after 2008 we had this global financial crisis in 2008. So after this crisis, the head of the states were also included in this summit. So this is the brief introduction about what is G20. Now moving on to the theme of this year. The theme for this year is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. It is a great, basically these two words have a very deep philosophical meaning. So Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam means the word is one family. Although we are divided by nations, we are divided by borders, but we are one family. We live on this planet Earth. We share the same planet. We are living on Earth. So basically we are one family. This is what this quote means, which is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, and this is the theme for this summit. Now moving on, if we talk about this Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam only, it encourages universal progress, transcending borders, languages and ideologies. As I said, the meaning of these two phrases, these two words, the word is family. It encourages this universal progress, this universal brotherhood, that we all are part of one family. And India's G20 presidents promotes this human-centric approach, where we perform some tasks with lot of joy, where we curate new ideas and then we perform those tasks with a lot of joy, enthusiasm. So India is promoting this human-centric approach for this G20, and this is also important because the post-COVID world is different from the pre-COVID world. Lot of things have changes, the technologies have changes, there's new world order this post-COVID. So India's G20 presidency is basically promoting human-centric approach, including all of them, and as one earth. Now Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, if we have to understand it in a single phrase, it means the word is one family. If anyone says what is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, you can say that we all are, the word is one family, but it has other meaning as one. It has one earth, one family, and then this is one future. Now if we talk about one earth, we are coming together to nurture our planet. So we said that we are family and we live on the same planet, we share the same planet, then we have to take united stand to save our planet, because there are a lot of challenges which we are facing right now: environmental degradation, climate change, global warming, deforestation. There are lots and lots of things, and very recent this COVID-19. So we have to come together to show that universal thing, that we are universal brotherhood, that to show that universal brotherhood, we have to come together to save our planet, to nurture our planet. There are many problems, as I said. There's water reservoirs are depleting, the water resources are depleting, water is a finite source. So there are lots of things that we as a world, as a family, we have to do together. Now if we talk about one family, as I said, we have one earth, then one family, we support each other in the pursuit of growth. Then because you know, in today's world, we can't have these closed borders and then develop only our country, because we will be the only developed nation. We have these open borders, you know, we have to be with each other, we have to support each other's growth. So we have to support each other in our growth pursuit, in trade, in whatever thing, and specifically this climate thing, where the surroundings where we live, then only we can have this sustainable, this good future where there's no pollution, no global warming, that we will achieve if we perform together, if we take these stands together, and then we move together towards a shared future that will be, you know, that will be equal, the society will be equal for all. So then we'll be moving towards this shared future as well. So basically the whole idea about this Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is that the world is one family. We should take a united stand to save this our planet Earth. We should take a united stand for the problems which are being faced by nations. Okay, so this is what this phrase means, and it is undeniable truth in these interconnected times, as I said, that we can't develop in isolation. We have to open up ourselves, we have to exchange information, infrastructure, technology, then only in today's time we can develop. So this is the idea behind Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Now moving on, as I said right now, that the post-COVID world is different. Pre-COVID there were other problems, then there emerged this post-COVID world order. We have different problems for that orders, and we have observed three important changes in this post-COVID world. So we will discuss what are the changes in this post-COVID world. So number one, we have to shift from this GDP centric. Before this COVID time, we were, you know, which country is the highest GDP, that's the fastest developing economy in the world, fastest developing nation in the world. So we have seen that there has been the shift from GDP centric to this human centric view. Now there are different reasons for it. Even the most developed nation in the time of COVID, we have seen that 2 years specifically, the 2020, that was the first COVID wave, and then came this 2020, the second COVID wave. These 2 particular years, we have seen even the most developed nation, specifically USA, they were struggling to save the life of their citizens. So we have to move this, that we are developing in everything, but we don't have the basic things. We don't have these. Even the USA was lacking the basic infrastructure for their citizens to save their lives. So we have to see how we can move this from this materialistic, from this GDP centric view to this human centric view. So after COVID, we have this realization of need of a shift. We need to shift, we need to change our mindset for this change, and there is an emphasis on human well-being and development. Yes, there is emphasis that first and foremost thing which is important for us is our healthcare facilities, because this was an unprecedented attack which no one could pretend, right? So we have to have this basic and the advanced healthcare facilities so that no one suffers like the way the people suffered in 2020 and 2021 COVID. And then lastly, we have to address that social and economic inequalities. So during this time, these were the sections, the vulnerable section were the most affected. If we talk about their income generation stopped. There was unemployment all over. There was lockdown, the factories shut down, so there was no income for them. And if they were tested positive for the COVID, then they didn't have that much money for the treatment as well, for getting the basic facilities even. So we have to address these social and economic inequalities. That is why we have observed that the countries now are moving from this GDP centric to human centric, that let's focus on our people first. So human centric view. Number 2 changes which we have seen is resilience and reliability in global supply chains. Now we are talking about this post-COVID world. So during the time of COVID, we have seen that the national borders were locked down. There was lockdown all over. So these global supply chains were disrupted. They were disrupted. The manufacturing sector specifically was the most targeted one. It was hit the hardest. So there was we need to develop this global supply chains. We need to see what are the changes that we can make in these global supply chains. We need to recognize the importance of secure and reliable global supply chains, and we should ensure the reliance to global disruptions, the disruptions which we face because the national borders, the international borders were locked down at that period, and the manufacturing suffered. As I said, it has suffered the most, and we should enhance global economic stability that we have to see. So these are the changes, that there is more focus, more reliability on establishing these global supply chains. Now moving towards boosting multilateralism and global institution. Now there we have lot of international organization. For example, even if we talk about this G20, so G20 don't have any official charter, permanent secretariat. So these are the things which should be focused, and the suggestions by the G20 is not legally binding. So even these global institutions and these international organizations must see that how can we improve all this. If there are decisions taken, if there is a consensus on anything, then these global institutions must make sure that how these consensus or how the topics which have been discussed can be implemented. So this is the changes we have observed after this post-COVID world. There is a collective call for reforming global institution. We have to strengthen the role of multilateral cooperation. As I said, that it is very important for these international organizations to have this binding consensus. And lastly, we should build towards a more equitable international order where every nation, specifically the African nation, should be targeted for more and more development, as we have some of the poorest nation in the world in the African Union. So these are the changes which have been observed post-COVID, in the post-COVID era. Now moving towards this global south and African inclusivity. So what can India do? There was this summit which is known as Voice of Global South Summit. It took place in January 2023, where almost 125 countries participated. So here what India did, it was a successful summit. Basically more than 125 countries participated, and as I said, there was a push for some of the marginalized and poor nations to be included in G20, specifically the African Union, which needs the attention of the whole world because there are a lot of malnourishment over there. Okay? These coups are being observed there in most of the African countries. So there was this push for African Union inclusion as a permanent G20 member, and also mainstreaming marginalized aspirations of the developing countries. So these are few things which have been planned before this G20 summit. What all we can discuss in the summit, what actions should be taken on all of this. So this was this Global South, known as the Voice of Global South Summit, which took place in January 2023 in India. Now moving towards, it was a virtual summit. Now moving towards accelerating progress on SDGs. So we have these sustainable development goals. This is the map of these countries you can see global south. So if we talk about SDGs, which is our sustainable development goals, so these are given by United Nations. So we have the target of achieving these goals by 2030. By 2030 we should achieve these goals. There's a lot of things which have been discussed in these goals, like food security, water security, this malnourishment should be stopped, right? So there are lots of things, but we have just talked about it. We have to accelerate progress because the year is 2023. We have only 7 years to accomplish these goals. So there will be a discussion, there may be and there should be a discussion on accelerating the progress towards the SDGs. The progress on sustainable development goals is, as of now, if we consider about it, it is off track. We have to fast track it. We have to move it fast because we are in 2023, and the target for these basic goals, because these SDGs talk about the basic necessities, and the basic necessities, the core of human life. So this progress needs to be fast tracked because we are feeling that we are off track. We are in 2023 and there is no development as such which have been achieved. Now if we talk about G20 2023 action plan, there should be action plan for implementing these SDGs, and there should be aligned efforts. These aligned efforts I've been discussing since the beginning of the video, that the countries, the nations have to come together. Now moving towards climate action and cooperation. So in the beginning of the video we discussed that climate change is one of the important problems which every nation is facing at this moment. So it is our #1 concern which should be discussed. Now if we talk about India, India has historical commitment to climate action. Since ancient time we worshipped nature, we had mother goddess, we worshipped trees, so we were very much inclined towards our nature. But now everything around us is changing. There is a lot of technological infrastructural development, but it is coming at the cost of the destruction of our very much close to our heart nature. So this is the thing that should be discussed. There should be emphasizing complementary climate effort. Now the discussion over here should be constructive rather than restrictive. Usually we focus on these restrictions, that this country should stop doing this, this country should stop doing this, they have done enough to pollute the world, and this country should stop doing this. Rather than moving towards this restrictive approach, we should have this constructive approach and focusing on what together as a family we can do to save our planet, to save nature. So this is the thing we should emphasize. We should emphasize complementary climate efforts specifically for developing countries, because developing countries, words such as they are right now developing, they're moving upwards, right? And for example, if we talk about India only, we can't stop using fossil fuels right now. We will be achieving it slowly. That is the reason that there should be these constructive talks. There should be these constructive talks ki, okay, you do this country has achieved this much, they can cut a little bit. You are doing this, okay, you do this. So this is what they complement. There should be these complementary climate efforts for developing countries. Now we talk about there should be climate finance and technological transfer is very important. We know that, and that focusing on the solutions and this positive action. As I said, there should be constructive approach rather than this restrictive approach. There should be focus on positive actions as a family together. Now moving towards the sustainable and resilient blue economy, that is protecting our oceans. So #1 problem which our oceans are facing is of plastic population, because of which the marine life is also affected. So there was this Chennai high level principles. There were 9 principles which will be discussed in the G20 summit for healthy oceans, for protecting our oceans as well as our marine life. And there should be this global ecosystem for clean and green hydrogen. Now we are moving towards this clean and green hydrogen technology, and there is a global green hydrogen innovation center in Hyderabad as well. So these are the things which should be discussed moving towards this sustainable, resilient blue economy as well as the constructive climate actions. Now moving on, if we talk about democratizing democratizing climate action. Now, encouraging individual and lifestyle choices for a sustainable environment, and this is one of the example. This we have discussed in I guess the June Yojana session, the lifestyle of sustainable environment, which is known as LIFE. So how can we promote it? For example, by making the very basic changes, rather than using these thermocol plates, we can use, or thermocol cups, plastic cups, we can use coolers. So these are the basic changes which were suggested in it. And then also we can draw parallels with the global yoga movement. So this International Yoga Day is celebrated every year on 21 June. So we can promote this yoga movement as well to live this healthy and sustainable lifestyle. Then moving towards food and nutritional security, promoting millets. Now this 2023 is International Year of Millet. So we can promote, because millets, these type of crops, they are not very much water intensive, they require very less water. So it is also good for us, as we have this water as a finite source, as I said. So we can promote millets for food security, because millets also have this high nutritional value. So these can be promoted for food security and climate smart agriculture. As I said, that these are not very water intensive crop, they do not require much water. Now this is International Year of Millets. As I said, it is 2023 is International Year of Millets. And Deccan High Level Principles on Food Security. So this was this Deccan High Level Principle, as we have seen the Chennai level principles for blue economy. Similarly, these are the Deccan high level principles which can be discussed in this summit, and the consensus can be made. Now if we talk about inclusive technology, which means including all of us, leveraging technology to narrow inequalities. So we have observed inequalities in using technology. So for example, we know that smartphone penetration is very high in India, but still we have many people which don't have access to this smartphones. So we have to, we have to move towards a future where the technology, the benefits of the technology is used by everyone. We have to move towards that future. And if we talk about digital public infrastructure, it should be done for financial inclusion for everyone, and we could share India's successful solutions with the G20. So this can be discussed about the inclusive technology. And if we talk about women empowerment, there was this W20 meeting which was conducted on the similar lines of the G20 before this summit, and it should recognize women's leadership across sectors. So women leadership should be recognized across various sectors, and then we can bridge this gender digital divide. So we still have this divide in our society, so we can talk about bridging, how we should bridge that gap and promote women's participation in leadership. For example, in this summit, this summit was conducted by the women, for the women, so we can promote that women participation in leadership and decision making. Now moving towards this people driven, human centric, as I said, people driven G20 presidency. India's reputation for accomplishing things at scale. Over 200 meetings have been conducted in 60 Indian cities, and making this global table larger and more inclusive. So we have discussed how can we make it more inclusive. We have discussed almost all points how we can make the things more inclusive. That means by incorporating and discussing everything, be it regarding climate, the technology, women empowerment, gender divide. So we will make it inclusive by discussing or incorporating all the things. Now we move towards what we can conclude: India's G20 presidency, bridging divides, dismantling barriers and fostering collaboration. So we have discussed various points, multiple points, how we can bridge those divides, how we can dismantle barriers, and how we can foster collaboration of all the nations. And if we should nurture a world of unity, shared destiny, as well as inclusivity, and turning pledges into action. As I said, there's no charter which governs this G20. So we should turn those pledges into actions, because actions speak louder than words. And what can be the outcomes for a better global future, how we can move towards that better global future. I hope you found the session interesting. If you find it, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.